Hi students, welcome to Unit 4, which is Overhead Cost Control. All of you would have by now known about the direct and indirect cost. So to refresh your memory once again, let me tell you that total cost is broadly divided into direct cost and indirect cost. Direct cost comprises of direct materials, direct wages, and direct expenses. It is also called as prime cost. And the total of all indirect costs is known as overheads. Now, indirect cost consists of indirect material cost, indirect wages, and indirect expenses. So, this is the broadest classification of cost into direct and indirect. While direct costs are called as prime cost, indirect costs are known as overheads. Now, overhead is defined by various authorities, and you have the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants of UK defining overheads as the aggregate of indirect material cost, indirect wages, and indirect expenses. And you also have Weldon, WHELDON, defining overheads as the cost of indirect materials, indirect labor, and such other expenses, including services, as cannot be conveniently charged directly to specific cost units. Alternatively, overheads are all expenses other than direct expenses. You have another authority called Blocher and Weltmer who defines overheads as overhead costs are the operating costs of a business enterprise which cannot be traced directly to a particular unit of output. So with all these three different definitions, what can be understood is that overheads are the cost of all indirect expenditure incurred by an organization, whether it is in terms of materials, labor, or other expenses. Now, overheads are also known with other terms such as on cost, supplementary cost, non-productive cost, burden, and so on. But the term overhead is generally used or very commonly used. So we will also use the word overheads to indicate all the indirect costs incurred by an organization, whether with respect to materials, labor, or expenses. So I'll repeat what I have explained to you earlier. Overheads or overhead costs are a brief expression for all the indirect expenses. It indicates the expenditure incurred over and above the direct material and direct labor. According to Chartered Institute of Management Accountants London, overhead is an aggregate of indirect materials, indirect labor, and indirect expenses. Let's now understand the classification of overheads. Overheads can be classified under three main categories, that is function, behavior, and elements. It can also be classified as per the control. Let's understand functions. Under functions, you have production overhead, administration overhead, selling overheads, and distribution overhead. You have studied about functions while we learnt about the cost sheet. Under that, you have understood how to work out the production overhead, which is the factory overhead. The administration overhead and office overhead also was taught to you while teaching you the first unit of cost accounting. Selling overheads and distribution overhead is also a part of the cost sheet. So by functions, if you're classifying overheads, you have production overhead, administration overhead, selling overhead, and distribution overhead. When you classify overheads by elements, you can classify it as indirect material, indirect labor, and indirect expenses. With respect to behavior or variability of the overheads, the classification can be done as fixed overheads, variable overheads, and semi-variable overheads. These concepts of fixed expenses, variable expenses were also taught to you while teaching the first unit. So I'm not repeating it again over here. And if you look into the controllability factor, if you're classifying the overheads as per the control factor, you have controllable overheads and uncontrollable overheads. Overheads which can be controlled within the organization are called as controllable overheads, and those which are external to the organization, that means expenses which are externally affecting the organization, are called as uncontrollable overheads. You may also classify the overheads based on their normality, which is normal overheads and abnormal overheads. Now let's understand this a little more in detail. Let's start with the production overheads. Production overheads, as I just now told you, is also known as factory overheads or works overheads or manufacturing overheads. It is all those types of indirect expenditure which goes into the production of a commodity. So therefore, we call it as the sum or the aggregate of factory expenses such as indirect material cost, indirect wages, and indirect expenses. Examples of such indirect expenses or examples of such production overheads are lubricants used, consumable stores used in the organization, factory power and light, indirect wages, depreciation of plant and machinery, depreciation of factory building, insurance of plant and factory, storekeeping expenses, repair charges, maintenance expenses, etc. In the factory, all these are expenses of indirect nature, and therefore we call them as production overheads. Now let's understand the administration overheads. This consists of all expenses which are incurred in the administration of the organization. That means while directing, controlling, and administering the functions of an undertaking, whatever expenses are incurred with respect to secretarial work, accounting work, financial control works, all that is and which are not related directly to the production or to the selling and distribution functions are called as administration overheads. For example, for the general management of the organization, you may be keeping some staff in your organization, and to them, when you pay them salaries and you incur audit fees, legal fees, expenses on account of postage, stationery, telephone expenses, printing expenses, office rent, office lighting expenses. So all these expenses put together forms a part of the administration overhead. So in most organizations, there is a back office which takes care of all the administrative functions, and the expenses incurred by them are termed as administration overheads. Whereas in the earlier one where we discussed about production overheads, it refers to all the expenses which are indirectly incurred with respect to the factory, but not in direct relation to the actual production, but it's indirectly related to the production activities within the factory. So as I had given you examples previously about production overhead, I had told you it's about insurance of the factory building or repairs in the factory building, depreciation of machinery in the factories. All those are examples of production overhead. Let's now try and understand the selling overheads. Selling overheads are the overheads or the expenses which are incurred to create and stimulate demand for the goods of the organization. So whenever goods are manufactured, you are supposed to promote the goods, and for that certain expenditure may be incurred in the form of advertising expenses. You may be paying salaries, and commission to your sales staff. Showroom expenses may be incurred, traveling expenses may be incurred, bad debts may happen, and the catalogs and price lists are all a part of the selling overheads. Now moving on to the next one, under functions you have the distribution overheads. Distribution overheads are expenses which are incurred from the time the product is completed in the factory until it reaches its destination or to the customer. So therefore all expenses which are incurred with respect to packaging of the products, carrying them outside the organization, which is carriage outwards, delivery van costs, warehousing costs, etc., forms a part of the distribution overheads. Now you must understand here that selling and distribution costs are incurred only after the production is over, and therefore there is another term for selling and distribution costs which is known as after production costs. So these were the costs as per these were the overheads as per the functions. So classification based on functions is production cost or production overheads, administration overheads, selling overheads, and distribution overheads. Now let us understand the classification according to the elements. Under this method, the classification is done according to the nature and source of the expenditure. So expenses are classified under three main groups, that is indirect material, indirect labor, and indirect expenses. Indirect material are those material costs which cannot be allocated but which are to be apportioned or absorbed by cost centers or cost units. Examples of such indirect materials are the oil, grease, lubricants, fuels which are used while manufacturing the commodity, and you may use these items for the machine that is used in manufacturing the commodities. So materials which cannot be directly identified or traced to the final product is regarded as indirect material. Indirect labor refers to the cost of remuneration which is paid to people who are not directly involved with the production process. So they facilitate the production process, but they are not directly involved with the production process. Examples of such indirect labor are the wages that are paid to the sweepers, the supervisor's salary, employer's contribution to ESI. ESI means employee state insurance, leave pay which is given to the workers. All that forms a part of indirect labor overheads. Now moving on to indirect expenses. These are expenses which cannot be allocated directly to the goods that are produced, but expenses which are indirectly incurred by the organization. Examples of such expenses are power, depreciation, insurance, taxes, rates, rent, and so on. The next classification of overheads is based upon behavior or variability of expenses. So you have fixed overheads, variable overheads, and semi-variable overheads. Fixed overheads are those expenses which are not affected by the number of outputs in the organization. So even if you manufacture 10 units or you manufacture 10,000 units, these fixed expenditure remains static and is not affected by the volume of output. So if you have taken a factory on rent and you're manufacturing 10 units in that factory, or you're manufacturing 10,000 units in that factory, the rent that you have to pay will remain constant or same. Fixed overheads are generally fixed for a considerable amount of time and after which it becomes variable. So examples of such fixed overheads are rent and rates, managerial salaries, depreciation, postage, stationery, legal expenses, and so on. It must be noted that fixed expenses do not remain fixed forever. However, they remain fixed for a considerably long period of time and therefore they are called as fixed expenses. Variable overheads are those expenses which tend to vary in direct proportion to the volume of output, which means that if you are manufacturing 10 units of a commodity, the expenditure will be less, and if you're manufacturing 10,000 units of the same commodity, your expenditure is going to be high. For example, if you're manufacturing 10 units, you require less number of raw materials, whereas if you're manufacturing 10,000 units, you require more amount of raw materials. So the cost which varies in direct proportion to the volume of output is called as variable overheads. Since we are talking about indirect expenses, overheads is about indirect expenses. Therefore, examples of such variable overheads are the indirect materials, indirect labor, indirect sales overhead, such as salesman's commission, power, light, fuel, and so on. Semi-variable, the third one under behavior of variability is semi-variable overheads. These are overheads which are partly fixed and partly variable. So you may call them as semi-fixed or semi-variable overheads. The costs which vary in part with the volume of production and in part that they remain constant is called as semi-variable overheads. So I had told you that the fixed overheads do not remain fixed forever. It's not fixed for lifelong, and therefore all fixed expenses do form a part of semi-variable overheads after a period of time. So rent can increase, managerial salaries can increase after a period of time. Therefore, they are called as semi-variable overheads. So some more examples of semi-variable overheads are the supervisor's salaries, depreciation, repair expenses, maintenance charges, and so on. So these were the main three classification of overheads, but you can also classify them as per the normality and controllability factor. Now let's move on to the topic of cost allocation and cost apportionment. Now cost allocation refers to the allocation to a department based on specific cost, whereas apportionment refers to the allocation on common costs. Let's understand this a little more in detail. So you see in this slide accounting for overheads, and under that you have both allocation, apportionment, and absorption. Under apportionment you see secondary apportionment, and for absorption you see overhead absorption rates and under or over absorption. Now let's understand these terms, allocation and apportionment. It's important because you will get this in the exam. Allocation means charging the full amount of overheads to a cost center, whereas apportionment refers to the allotment of proportionate items of cost to cost centers or to cost units. Coming back to allocation, for example, if a particular item of cost can be easily identified to a particular cost center, then we say that this full amount of overhead can be charged to that cost center. Now let's take an example. If there's a foreman in a production department and we know that the foreman is working only in that production department, then the salary of that foreman can be easily identified and allotted to this department. Similarly, the salary of a timekeeper can also be easily allotted to the timekeeping department. So these are examples where expenses are allocated directly to a particular cost center, and therefore it is called as allocation. So if you can identify and charge the expense directly to a cost center or to a cost unit, then we call it as allocation of overheads. Similarly, other expenses can also be allocated directly, such as depreciation of machinery, idle time, overtime cost, and so on. But apportionment is the allotment of proportionate items of cost to cost centers or cost units, which means that you cannot directly charge a cost center or cost unit with those expenses, because the expenses are incurred for the entire organization and not for a separate department or for a separate unit. For example, the rent that is paid for the factory building is not allocated only for one particular department, but is allocated to various departments. So therefore we cannot do an allocation, but we can do a apportionment. Suppose in the factory there are 4 different departments and rent is paid for the entire factory building. The rent of the factory building should be apportioned amongst the 4 departments. You cannot allocate. Allocate would have been only for one single department, but apportionment on a suitable basis has to be done for all the different departments. So all the different departments have to bear the expenses on some equitable basis. Say for example, based upon the area that is occupied. So suppose one department consists of 500 square feet area, whereas another department occupies 2000 square feet area in the factory building. Then based on the area that they are using, they can pay the rent of the factory building. So therefore, when expenditure is paid on or when overheads are proportionately distributed, then we call it as apportionment. But whereas if we can charge the entire cost to a particular cost center or to a cost unit, we call it as allocation. So let's look at the second point there. Deals with the whole item of cost, deals with only proportion of items of cost. I hope you have understood this with the example that I gave you about the departments occupying a certain area of space in the factory building. The third point there says cost is directly allocated to cost center, cost unit, not directly allocated but are divided or apportioned to different departments on suitable basis. Allocated when the cost center uses whole of the benefits of the expense. Apportioned when cost centers use only a proportion of the benefits of the whole expenses. No bases are required for allocation. In the case of apportionment, they need a suitable basis. So as per the previous example, where factory rent is paid for the whole building, the area space becomes the suitable basis. So now let's look at this slide and you can understand here how the apportionment is done on a suitable basis. So if the company is paying rent, rates and tax, the apportionment is done based on the floor space which is occupied by each department, office or factory. And if the overheads relates to repairs of plant or department, also with respect to depreciation, then the equitable basis of apportionment would be the plant or department's value or any asset. It could also be floor space occupied by each department. Now, which equitable basis of apportionment you will take will depend upon what data is given to you in the problem. Now, suppose the expenses incurred by the companies with respect to the legal fees, then they will do the apportionment on the basis of number of cases handled. Salaries of common staff. Examples of salaries of common staff are salaries of sweepers, salaries of liftman, of security guard, and so on. The apportionment will be done based on ratio of salaries of departments. For typists, the apportionment will be done on the basis of number of documents typed. With respect to lighting and electricity, apportionment can be done on the basis of light points, or on the basis of area, or on the basis of units of submeter in each department. So you will understand this more as we work out some problems. Power is done on the basis of horsepower of plant. Supervision overheads can be apportioned on the basis of number of employees working in the organization. So suppose 10,000 workers are employed in the organization. The supervisor's salary can be apportioned to the on the basis of the number of employees. Now you must very clearly understand the difference between allocation and apportionment. The purpose of both allocation and cost apportionment is the identification and charging of items of cost to cost centers or cost units. But the main difference between these two procedures is that while allocation deals with whole items of cost, apportionment deals with proportion of items of cost. Allocation is a direct process, but apportionment is done indirectly, and for apportionment, suitable basis is required. Whether an item of cost can be allocated or apportioned does not depend upon the nature of cost, but it depends upon the relation with the cost centers or cost units to which it has to be charged. As far as possible, overhead should always be allocated. But if an overhead cannot be allocated, it will be apportioned. This involves finding some basis of apportionment that will enable the overheads to be equitably shared between various production and service departments. So these are some of the basis for apportioning the overheads between various departments.